Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to The Medium by Design. Today I'm going to share two messages, one from yesterday morning, one from this morning. It has been a busy weekend as far as writing. The first one is from yesterday morning at 4. I got up at 4:19 a.m. and this was written at 5:28. I've been getting up really early. So here's the intro. I got up at 4:19 a.m. It is wonderfully quiet in the early morning. This morning, a windstorm started at 4:45 a.m. and is still continuing now. I did a walking prayer calling in peace, joy, harmony, financial freedom, perfect health, cooperation, and love between each other. I ask all those, Jesus and the holiest, archangels, and all those that know and love me, including the new ET races I am meeting, to join me this morning. I experienced a tangible body tingle. Who would like to join me and share insights, wisdom, and have a loving exchange this morning? Well, you know my number one is Jesus, so that's who showed up at this moment. I can share with you this morning, as I and those ET races you are so interested in are and have been working together to assist as many as possible to receive these healing frequencies and correct any and all damage that has been done to the human during this huge evolutionary time. It should be getting easier for you to see how easily humans are manipulated and how opening up conscious awareness is imperative if the human species is going to survive. As I have said before, many are like innocent children, stubborn perhaps, but definitely in a fog to all the many ongoing atrocities being carried out right under their noses in their own communities by their neighbors, governments, cults. Simply put, any group that comes together to commit some kind of harm to another or a group of people. This has been going on since the beginning of life on Earth. However, this current time is literally being used to move the original plan forward by having many of us step in and change the course of history. You might even say that we have seen the future on this particular path and have decided that this is no longer acceptable. This is why I shared with you early on that there were those that would be taken from the planet. Anyone whose behavior has not shifted to include the baseline love of their fellow man will have to be removed and has continued being removed for some time now. It is not easy for the average person to comprehend the magnitude of this time, this transition. You have been receiving on a regular basis the truth of this time as well as personal guidance and still can't fathom the depth of change occurring, nor the inability for people to function clearly in their everyday lives. This is why I spoke of relaxing, practicing patience, living more compassionately. These are the things that will help those meant to continue forward on this planet. There will continue to be many souls leaving. As you can see, some have taken notice of the changes as well as the numbers of people dying and not from COVID. This is an almost weeding out as many souls decide to leave. Some are necessarily taken out, and others needing to make a soul course correction, if you will. Those that remain are also making soul course corrections as lives are changing at a much faster pace. People in mass are finally feeling the call to make changes at a larger level. Job, career, moving, relocating out of state, out of country, etc. These changes are not negative or out of desperation. These are the clearer soul proddings, divine guidance decisions that are coming to the surface to be followed to experience a totally different way of life. By making these larger changes, all those letting go experiences you have been speaking of during COVID happening naturally. Leaving friends, family, co-workers, even life partners all happen when someone leaves a job and moves from their state. I want to go back and I want to share a story that happened to a friend of mine. In the beginning of this message, Jesus states, I can share with you this morning, as I and those ET races you are so interested in have been working together to assist as many as possible to receive these healing frequencies and correct any and all damage that has been done to the human during this evolutionary time. I want to tell you a cute story. A friend of mine had what appeared to be a dream and was visited by an alien. And it was a very humanoid, human-looking alien, but spoke in a non-Earth language. And floating next to him was a metallic head, and these two were having an exchange while my friend felt he was being scanned and probed and just kind of having a very odd experience. So it can be very unnerving when you feel that the ETs are actually doing something with you. So on the call that I got from him, I simply asked that ET to explain himself and what he was doing. And the answer I got was that he was part of this alliance that I spoke of in another video, this alliance that was here to help humanity. And his particular race group was here to help humans correct the pharmaceutical damage that has occurred in their bodies. And it was very interesting. I don't want to go too much further with that, but we both agreed that this felt absolutely true and just took it as the truth. So then I suggested that we might add that ET race to assist us in healing, and here we are, within a week later, and Jesus is confirming that these ET races are some of them are indeed bringing a healing energy to our physical bodies. So I just add, if I feel it's positive, I just add that to my prayer request. I ask for all the help I can get. Like I said earlier in the intro to this, anyone who knows and loves me from the other side, the other dimensions, are welcome to help me. And the reason that I'm that open to that is because I don't feel that our linear mind and us living in these very limited bodies always knows exactly what the highest and good is at any particular time, which is why my prayers and my requests always ask for the highest and the best. Well, when you change your reality and way of functioning to highest and the best, it shifts your entire life. And this is why many people would never do such a request, because you have the power to change everything, right? You have the power to change your life experience, your life perceptions, the way you see things, the way you feel things. It's all within you, and it's all asking to be brought to the surface. However, when you open the door to something that you don't understand, or you have fear about that door opening, then you may not do that. So when I pray for the highest and the best, things really do shift. And sometimes it's not comfortable. And it's just very interesting, though, the positive outcomes that come from this kind of powerful intention and being very, very open. I don't recommend much to people because I don't feel I have the right to tell you what to do, how to live your life. I just go with what I get and share it with you, and you get to do whatever you want with it. So, that said, I keep allowing myself to be led to new and different experiences that might seem strange at the time, but I can see the doors opening. And the tangible part of this, though, which is really what I'm trying to get across, is the spiritual work should eventually show up as positive results in your life. The releasing of the lower emotions, which I continue to see on Facebook, people just emoting their disappointment, their dissatisfaction, their fears, right? People just getting stuck in a fear loop and sharing those things. Yes, you're entitled to do that. But there is a better way. And I think I'm tapped into a lot of that, which is helping me alleviate my own fears and dissolve my own lower emotions. So with that said, let's get to this morning's, another 5 a.m. experience, and this one is with Dolores Cannon and Jesus. So here's the introduction. It's shorter than yesterday's. I would like Dolores Cannon and Jesus to be here with me and share some clarity on the, quote, new Earth concept and what is really happening to Earth during this transition. Specifically, is Earth becoming two separate planets? This theme has come up multiple times through people that I really love, and I have never had that vision. And I know that this subject matter has been spoken about on other videos of mine, but not in terms of new Earth. Jesus has been speaking about bringing heaven to earth, and that was the original plan. But this, I specifically wanted to get into this new Earth concept. So Dolores shares, she's the first, she went first. As I was talking in that interview, now I got triggered with Dolores Cannon to go into this writing because I had watched a video and it came up again. So I had watched it last year and then it came up again. So I thought, well, there must be something here for me to learn, for me to see, for me to receive, and here we are in this writing. I had my new perspectives clear in my mind from all that I accumulated in my work, and I was sure that there was a physical separation in Earth's reality. I can alter that with what I know now. Just like us humans are changing our frequency from the inside out due to all the help we are receiving from these higher frequency energies, Earth too is doing something similar. I was under the impression that there would be this tangible physical shift and that our Earth would have to separate to be part of the higher frequency side. From what I understand now, our Earth will continue to rise in frequency until all the old lower frequencies are thrown off and eliminated. This becomes very clear when you review your messages from Jesus that talk about people leaving the planet in various ways. So Jesus has covered that already, and you can find those in the Jesus Chronicle series in the playlists. She continues, although I feel sure that we are receiving these frequencies from many other worldly beings and races, I also feel confident that many of us jumped to a very linear explanation of Earth being created anew in a very physical way. So now Jesus jumped in. He said, I can add to this by saying that perception went in that direction because it seemed physically impossible for Earth to shift in seemingly extreme ways. However, many of you know who have been undergoing this shift of the ages that the changes occurring with you and within you are deep and foundational. Many of you are already feeling like a different person to the extent you miss the old you and are not quite sure who this new you is. This is what the Earth is going through also. The shift is so foundational, the energy shift that is, that it will appear like a completely different planet. If you would like me to explain how this is playing out between people, I can. I know that you are in a kind of dilemma with how to converse with your parents after the shift that occurred earlier this year. Now that is in a previous video, but he does refer to a definite shift of interacting with family members. And I'm hoping that this helps anyone who is in this situation. And I know for a fact there are many people having this same experience. If you go a little deeper and into the energy, the clarification gets so much easier. When people realize their own energy and without doubt where they are at this moment, when commingling with other energies, it becomes painfully clear that there is a tangible clash that occurs that feels almost painful. You may be talking, but the connection is not there. It is tangibly felt and can be quite unnerving. After all, you are still on the same Earth, and yet some people seem impossible to engage with. When you understand this, then you understand a large part of this shift of the ages. Many will explain it away as, I am changing, therefore, blah, blah, blah. It is so common and ego-based to go immediately to an explanation that comes only from the self. Although that is a part of what is actually happening, that explanation puts a quantitative value on everyone involved. This is not the best approach. When describing what is occurring, it is almost imperative to address it all in terms of energy. If individuals continue to choose to live in, carry, and express a certain type of energy, the old energy, then it will become increasingly difficult to function on the so-called, quote, new earth. If an individual continues to shift, stay open, let go, and allow the shift to occur, one can witness the change both of themselves and physically in their real world experience. When I share about taking power back, When I shared about taking power back, I was really talking about this concept. That older phraseology is easier to comprehend, but only touches the surface to what is happening energetically. Although people have been trying to explain concepts energetically for decades, the deeper understanding is only now being more fully understood, and not by all. Why do you think this is one of the only things you are absolutely sure you must keep doing, Salvatore? It is not just because you are a curious child. No, it is because you are learning these concepts on a deeper level so as to be able to explain them as simply and easily for others to grasp them also. You are learning as you go in order to share as you go. It is all in perfect alignment and synchronicity. Well, so what I found, especially in this last section here, is this tangible experience as we are changing from the inside and our perceptions of reality, and then we are commingling with people. I'm finding this very, very tangible in my own daily life. If I choose to leave the house, I am having very tangible, beautiful experiences with every single soul that I come in contact with. This is a tremendous wave of change that occurred through this last 3-year period. Now, it was occurring before that because I had all those wonderful groups that I partook in and had my own spiritual openings and visitations through all of that. However, what I'm noticing now is this tremendous clash of what's being broadcast through people having their own experience and then what I'm having as my own experience. And then if you bring it down to the one-on-one, people are projecting their experience in a one-on-one exchange with me that I do not comprehend, that I do not resonate to, that I don't understand. And it happened with a good friend of mine as she was explaining her experience and what the information that she's being exposed to. And you can find many people on the internet that are locked in to all of these different theories of what's going on. And what happens is because they didn't get it from themselves, remember, these writings are coming through me. This is my personal relationship with spirit. No one is affecting these writings, right? Which gives me pause to understand that many other people that I have shared or I have listened to or received from are being pulled away, being pushed away, being taken out. My soul is being clear on, don't need that anymore, don't need that. So a lot of this message is about how are you doing that? What are you noticing? How are you letting yourself be expanded in what you know? And what you know may be very, very different from what you've been listening to. So, a case in point, there are people that I have watched based on other people's recommendation and them telling me, oh, I just love her, I just love him, I just love what they're doing, I just love, and I'm not going to name any names because that is another way to manipulate energy by naming names of what we think we know about those people. Well, none of that is valid. What's valid is what you feel when you're observing something coming from someone else and the action that you take for your highest and best good. So then that takes you totally out of, but I like him, but I like her, but I like listening to them. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with what's happening inside you while you're being exposed to these things. Now, here's a very funny observation. The subscribers to this channel have been vacillating from 383 to 384. So I don't know if that's one person or multiple people dropping off, then somebody coming in, then somebody dropping off. And I'm watching this. Now, in the last couple of days, it went down another notch to 382. So obviously something that I'm sharing is triggering somebody to say, I am not into this, this is not my thing. And that is perfectly okay. Even though my ego wants my numbers to go up, I want to feel like the energy I'm putting into this channel is positive, loving, and supportive of humanity. That's my intention. And yet some of our humanity race will listen to this and not be able to understand, receive, or get a benefit. So they have to leave. And this is very, very tangible. This is a real experience that's going on with us at this time. So, of course I want things that I put my time and energy into to make me feel supported and support being in some kind of supportive experience. But that doesn't always happen. When you're on your spiritual path and you're having to stand alone or walk away, you may not feel supported. And I've gone through this my entire life, not feeling supported. But I still continue on. We still march on to our own drum unless we succumb to wanting to feel a part of something, and then we diminish our light to be part of some other person or group of people that are leading a cause that we may not even really resonate to, but we just want to belong. And that could be a problem, because if you diminish your light in any way, then you really can't experience the fullness of you with your soul coming through you in the grandest, greatest way. Every time we diminish our light and bring ourselves smaller or less than, we experience a less than experience, physical life experience. So another case in point, another example, the sessions that have gone on in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, have been over the top, energetic, loving, powerful. So while I'm on the phone with somebody or in person, I'm having wave after wave of spirit intervention. And to explain how amazing and how the light is truly expanding in me and in my life, I was on the phone with one of my favorite remodel customers, right? I've known her now, I guess, 4 or 5 years. And even though I like to bring spirit messages to the design stuff, that took me a while to integrate the two sides, the two experiences of my life. So, I always joked, it's really annoying to live like a Sybil, that, my spiritual stuff is for these people, but my design ability to help people with their homes is over here. And that crowd is over here, and that other crowd is over there. And to show you how annoying but true this is, I created another YouTube channel. It's not up and running yet, but that's going to have the physical projects that I've been involved with for the past 8-9 years, and I'm trying to intertwine the spiritual reality to those videos. And it's very challenging, because I'm all through all this, I'm living with this integration of both, and yet the people that are in front of me may not have a clue of what Spirit's doing. So let me get back to the current example of a phone call this week with my favorite remodel client. And what happens in the middle of the call, her ex-dead husband interrupts us during the call. It was a beautiful message. I won't share it. It's not important what the message was to all of you, but it was very important to her. Being a single mom and truly a powerhouse of a woman, someone that you can't help but to respect for what she's created on her own. And I didn't even know, she has often said to me, if my ex-husband ever comes to you, it'd be interesting what he has to say. But all this time that has passed since she asked me that, and it never happened until this phone call. So, if nothing else from watching my videos, I wish that people could understand that spirit is a very tangible life experience that is trying to commingle with this physical world in a very positive way. I read a long tirade comment, which I didn't even know was under a video, and it's a beautiful video. It's so inspirational. All the comments were positive, except this one that, declares, you better watch what you're doing. Satan is alive, and Satan is playing games with you. Let me tell you something. The way that I discern about the spiritual side is, number one, if I cry. And if you see me on video crying, then my soul is confirming that that message is real and from the highest source. That's one of my number one things. That's why I make fun of the crying, but I know that my signal of crying is because there's something very real and positive and true and spiritually pure. My one friend says he loves the purity of my spirit connection, and so do I. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And the truth is, if people don't resonate to what you're doing, then let them go. They need to move on. They need to get out, make room for better people. And I find that this transition of the last 3 years has been very much this kind of concept, where things have been pushed out on purpose, not unlike what Jesus has said about people leaving the planet. Just people that need to go. And there's multiple levels to that. It's not all negative. They're focusing on the ones that are not matching the new frequencies of Earth. But there are souls that just changed their mind. Beautiful souls, loving souls, that just decided that it was time for them to go. And they could be all ages. Even children that decide, this Earth thing this time around is just too much. I'm not going to be part of this. And then they have their exit plan that comes to fruition. Of course, those that are left behind are sad, especially if it's somebody younger than us. We always think, how can somebody younger leave? Even I still do that. If you go back to the beautiful message from Lil Peep, right? This 21-year-old rapper. I could feel the beautiful innocence of that soul, right? And you'd say, oh, what a shame, he was 21. Well, he did make choices in his life that drove him to that end, and he's very aware of that, but he has made a mark, and that's all we can ask for. He spoke in videos, he sang, he got his music out, and then of course he came to me, which was totally unexpected. See, that's another thing. This is not all planned, which is why I have so much struggle sometimes in bringing you content, because I can't manipulate and force a plan of the divine timing of these things. And I know that most of you do not live this way. I know this is not the normal way of life, because every day we set our intentions and our goals, and we have our lists, and we know our meetings. We have our meetings we got to do, and everything's based on time, and we got to be there at a certain time. Notice, no watch. Haven't worn a watch in 15 years. So I see the clash, and I'm experiencing the clash, not as much as I used to, because I keep letting go of that linear way of living. But when I'm working with people or a group or even a remodel, if I'm trying to help somebody with a remodel, I have to live some of that. But I will tell you, the older I get and the more I get into this spiritual realm, the more difficult it is to deal with living in a box and living in this very defined, time-oriented, meeting-oriented. It just doesn't resonate anymore. So, but then I will, just to flip the coin over, I will also share that when I have to, it usually works, because I'm playing in both fields, right? I'm playing in these multidimensional areas with all these other beings, and I'm playing with you, and people in the physical world. So I still have to do that. But I'll tell you one thing, it's a hell of a lot easier making a YouTube video that nobody's really supporting me to do than it is sometimes dealing in the real world, right? So if nothing else, that should be a very good advertisement for doing your spiritual work, because your spiritual work really can't be interfered with by anybody. You know, you're doing what you want to do with the connection you have with spirit. And that is completely divine. And I want to nurture that till my last day. Can you imagine, after all this work, who's going to be waiting for me on the other side? I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to that moment. Excuse me. So there you have it. There's this weekend's work, spiritual work that was meant to be shared with you guys. So I hope you can receive something. And again, do what you can to be supportive. If your heart resonates to what's happening on this channel, do something. Take an action. Like it, subscribe, share it, donate, or get a session. My email's below. And above all, not above all, but in addition to, if you want to start a conversation with people, I look at comments on other channels, and people do connect, and they do start a community. I don't think that's happened here yet. I think it's kind of slow to take off, but I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully we'll touch more people, and this will start making sense. It makes perfect sense to me. I don't feel the spiritual side is having any trouble at all communicating with me directly, and explaining and helping me learn and understand these much deeper concepts that I never would have consciously thought I was going to do. And that is a part of a spiritual life. You do get exposed and led into, or sometimes, I joke, sometimes dragged into experiences that you would never have dreamed of. And all I can say is it's been a really, really exciting and interesting trip that has tangible results in my real world. And I would hope that for all of you. So many blessings to everyone, and I'll see you soon.